All right. I don't know if I want to do the welcome because you just said that you were going to beat me up.
Nah, not really beat you up, but we're gonna get to the bottom of some shit.
Well, I think it'll be some good conversation to follow after Gary's. And we have yet another Cali perspective on this
Yeah.
pod, Mr. Gordo. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, super
Right
cool,
on.
dude. Thanks for coming on.
Well, you
So
know
what
what?
did you go ahead?
I was at a wedding last weekend, so it worked out perfectly that I wasn't on the pod. And really close friend of mine that I ended up being the best man, but I didn't know till the week before
Fuck
because
yeah.
guys just communicate that wonderfully. You know what I mean? So my
Hey, are
wife,
you free this Saturday? Great. Go put on a fucking suit. Let's go.
my wife notices on the website when we're going to like check the registry or whatever, and so long story short, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna have to like write a speech. But I've known the dude 25 years, so it was actually quite easy. And it was funny because I felt like I was sort of roasting him. So I kind of had to like balance it. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, here's a story or, behavioral thing about him that we can all laugh about. But then like in all seriousness, here's something positive. And, but no, it was a good time. So I guess this is your opportunity to come at me.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because I was just the best man at my buddy's wedding. We're all Fox guys. That's how we met. And I literally I got up and gave a speech and I was like, hey, bro, like, because his brother passed away. And after his brother passed away, I told him, hey, well, this is just to show you life's too short. I said, man, finish your project car because his car had sat on jack stands for 10 years. Find yourself a good girl to marry, right? And so here we are at his wedding. His car's in my garage, still on jack stands. And I was like, I had to give him shit. It's funny you said, I'm like, hey, I told you to finish your car, then get married, motherfucker. So
now it's never get fucking finished.
Yeah.
No, so Chris, what'd you think of that podcast with Gary?
I think it was good. I think, right, because when me and him talk on the pod, we already know each other's story for the most part. And it's easy to like skip over things or like we already assume because we know. So when you're sort of making the references or, oh, hey, I did this and that, and it's never focused all into one. So it was cool to get like the whole timeline thing and right, like obviously give some perspective to people because I know 2 podcasts ago we left off with the, hey, you guys just make it sound easy. Like there's people out there that have like legitimate concerns. Like, are you guys going to address these? Because it can't be that easy. And I did feel like you really had to try and pry some shit out of Gary. And I was just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
there's more to it than this.
Some shit he waited to the end after I asked him. Like, I'm like, yo, you got health insurance? He's like, no. 30 minutes later, he's like, oh, but I will June 1st. Like, what the fuck? Why didn't you just say that? So, Gordo, the long story short is we did 2 episodes ago. Me, Gary, who was it? You, me, and Gary, right? Just the 3 of us. And we just got bullshit and whatever. And it was like, they both had corporate jobs and left corporate jobs to kind of do their own business. And my perception of that. Plus, I know these guys personally, so I kind of know some of the backstory, and some of the struggles here and there. So when I hear them go on the pod and say, "Quit your fucking day job," just go do your own thing and be happy, I'm like, dude, it's not always that fucking easy for everybody. Like, you should tell both sides of this story. Like, people
sure.
like listen and they're like inspired and they're like, oh fuck, Gary did that, I can go do it. But there's consequences to every action, right? Good and bad. So
well, there's also people get the perspective of like, I'm gonna go out on my own and do my own thing. And so you have to be very disciplined is what you gotta say from the beginning. I get told all the time, hey, you should, you're the one running your company, you're the one doing all this stuff for your company, making them rich, right? Go do your own thing. And I'm like, well, the bottom line is I want to be able to step away when I want to step away. I got, if I got to go take off with my kids. And when you own your own business or you do your own thing, there is no step away. There is no, hey, I'll be back. You guys hold the fort down. I mean, if you got an amazing crew or you got people that you can trust, great. But not everybody does that. Like my boss is 80 something years old, has done it from the ground up, and he still has all these people in place to manage all these things, and he still feels like he needs to be there 24/7. And so I get why he feels that way, but nobody ever talks about that. Like it's the dive, right? And then when you become successful, it's like no days off. It's like that meme where they're like, "Oh, I was tired of working a 9 to 5." You're right. So I went into business for myself. Now I work all the fucking time.
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? And then there's just a whole bunch more to it. So we'll get into all that shit. So I guess, Chris, we're just gonna ask, man, tell us your, I guess, backstory, work history. Let's do that.
So,
and what led you to saying fuck all this?
Now, I think you asked Gary in a roundabout way, like if you're sort of like born with it versus not, or something along those terms. And, it's like that whole, are leaders born? Like, are you born a leader, or can you learn how to lead? And I guess not getting into nitty gritty, obviously your youth shapes who you are. Like where we were born, which we were all very fortunate, because like, imagine if Tom, you were born in Thailand, or Gorrddo, you were born in Kenya or whatever, like we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So you're very fortunate where you were born, the culture, and how you are raised in those fundamental early years. And I grew up poor. And I think that anybody that grows up poor generally will develop a little bit of hustle to them, or has the ability to, because they know what a shitty like benchmark looks like. You know what I mean? So like I remember my mom, single mom, kept going back to school. I moved 14 times by the time I was 14 years old. So different schools, constant change, different people. I didn't really get into trouble, thankfully. There was one town that was really isolated way up north where like the winters are long, they're cold, they're dark, not much to do. So kids just get into trouble and get each other knocked up or whatever. And thankfully we had left right before that happened. Left before the opportunity for me to go down a wrong path. So, it was, if I wanted something, I had to work for it, man. Like I remember lying to get a paper route because I think you need to be 12. And I think I lied and said I was 12, even though I was like 10 or 11 or some shit. And, I was hustling papers. I remember even before that, shoveling snow, raking leaves. I didn't do the lemonade stand shit because lemonade always spill. I used to have like this wagon that I'd tow behind my bike. And I think I made popcorn. I was selling like little bags of popcorn to people. And my first hustle probably started like around grade 6. Gordo, you'll probably appreciate this. I was big into basketball, big into shoes. And I wanted, like back then, shoes were still $100, $200 if you wanted like, you know what I mean? To be it. And I still remember getting a pair of Larry Johnson, who is known as Grandmama, played for the Charlotte Hornets. I got a pair of his Converse that had this weird gel sole shit, whatever in them. And I wore them for like, I don't know, 3 months. And then something else came out. So here I am polishing these fucking shoes up to sell them and flip them and get something else. And like from there and the paper route and whatever else, it all escalated. And it all applies no matter how you do it. There's all this shit online, like flip watches, flip houses, do this, do that. You put your mind to it, you put your heart and soul into it, like you'll do well. So, 15 years old, I'd say I was 13. My mom finally finished and got like a real job. And like things were like starting to look better. Met my stepdad. Stepdad was doing good. So now all of a sudden it was like, wow, I can see what like normal living somewhat like now. I don't need to go to Salvation Army to go get winter jackets anymore. And like, bro, when I say like I grew up alone, like my mom would be at school. I'd have to come home. The key was hidden under the mat. I'd have to cook my own dinner. I mean, I was washing dishes as soon as I could get over the sink on a fucking stool. do my own laundry, like all that stuff. And if it got late, my mom would drag me to like labs or whatever when she was doing research stuff, and I'd have a sleeping bag on the fucking floor, you know what I mean, in whatever lab of the university that my mom was at the time. So, you grow up quick. Like I didn't have siblings, me only child, right? So, but even then, you just got to learn how to take care of yourself. So we start doing better. High school comes around. Of course, Menace to Society comes out, and I'm just like, man, I want a fucking 5.0 so bad. Like, that's the car. And my dad was Corvette guy. So I'm 15. He's like, oh, yeah, no, I'll buy you like whatever the ugly generation Corvette. Well, that's kind of a broad statement. But anyways, I was like, I'm not having it. I want a 5.0. So he buys me $1,500. My first 83 GT came with an 82 parts car that was rolled. And the internet just barely surfacing, right? Like dial up forums are starting to come out. eBay wasn't even around. Like Yahoo auctions was the thing because Google wasn't even big yet, right? Like Yahoo was a search engine. So got onto these forums, and then I had all these 82 parts, and then I traded, I was hustling, obviously summer jobs and stuff at this point, traded my 83 in, got a 90 white hatch with black interior, and black interior has been desirable as hell forever. And I used to start going to the junkyard, start picking, and I'd go on the forums, I'd start selling it. So like, and you guys probably remember this. Remember like when we used to send cash in the mail?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or money orders.
You know what I mean? So money orders. Did I say
you have to cut out the little section and fill it out and then send cash? Like what the fuck?
Because like Yahoo didn't have shit, then like, it was just nuts, man. And I still remember like people posting up those pyramid schemes like, hey, everybody send these 10 people $1 in the mail and then put your name at the bottom of the list, and then you get bumped up. And if everybody sends the $1, we'll all be rich. Like it's so interesting in hindsight, but yeah, man. So through high school, I started because we had seasons, drive a car in the summer, build something over the winter, or sell it, build something over the winter, drive it through the summer, sell it, buy parts, sell them. Then eBay comes out, and man, I forget what it was. It was some other, not Money Mart. There was some shit that was tied to it. So you could pay through that at the time. So man, like Gary had mentioned, right? The US dollar was almost bought $1.50 Canadian. So here I am making all this US money in my second and last year of high school. And I was driving my first silver notch. Everyone thought I dealt drugs, but I was literally slinging Foxbody parts. And that's where the handle Infamous came from. Cause it was just like, oh, I've got a bad reputation or known for, selling drugs or whatever. So whatever, I'll just live infamously. And that's what it was. So against my better judgment and I don't regret this, but like you always wonder what would have happened if you kind of carried down the path that you knew. And that was sort of like this side hustle. I got a full scholarship to college. So I knocked out an associate's degree, and then I did my undergrad. And then I got a job in IT, like normal shit, like everybody else does, because IT is going to save the world. But then the whatever Y2K and the early bust of the 2000s, and it wasn't that great, but whatever. And I always had my hobby, but at that point, like Foxbodies really started actually going on the decline. Like they were worth nothing, $3,500, $5,000 got you something like super nice. And I stepped away from it. I started getting into BMWs and started doing similar stuff with that. And there was probably 10 years I didn't even own a Foxbody. So, I just kind of lived the normal whatever, you know what I mean? I worked for a college doing IT. I was doing like the normal corporate ladder shit. I was in a union of all things. And
where was the corp? Was that the buy job?
No, so this was still in Canada. So it was the college that I went to before the university. So I ended up getting employed by them, which was nice. You know what I mean? Where you got educated, they believe so much in their education, they hire you for a job after. And like, man, but I think I still remember. I think when I left that job, I was making 65,000 Canadian. This would have been in 04, 05. And that equates to probably about 50, 48 a year, full benefits. Like they even paid for me to do my master's degree. So like gave me a year off, went to Australia, got my master's degree in IT, and came back, still had my job. And then I was like, fuck this, In between that, I did work for Lewis for like a year because I had an opportunity to go to Florida because I was like, yeah, fuck the winters, whatever.
This is
And
when Lewis owned his own company.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, I got a taste of like, because Lewis left his corporate job and started his own thing. So it was kind of cool. Lewis, a startup, had good contracts and the money was coming in. But at the same time, we were sort of approaching that point where the economy was starting to dip. And, ultimately I went back to Canada, got the corporate job because it was safe and whatever else. Then messed off and went and got my master's degree. And then when I got back, I was just like, man, I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like I can't do the winters. I can't do this union environment.
What didn't you like about the union?
Just that, like, I'm here working and I know I'm doing a really good job. And there can be 3 or 4 other guys that are doing like a 10th of what I'm doing, but nothing will ever happen to them.
And they're going to make the same mistake.
Everybody's protected, and then everybody's looked at equally. So it's like you got one guy just fucking doing an excellent job, and you got these other guys that are like, "Fuck it, I'm union. Nothing can happen to me."
Exactly.
And
you know what?
I'm like,
you're like, I'm carrying these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I mean, I live that every day of my life. Like I am a union, employee. Right.
Well, I have some news for you guys. I'm non-union, but we still feel the same way over here because the new generation is like, oh, everyone's so soft and all the employees. It's like, you can't yell and cuss and you can't tell these people what they're doing wrong because then they'll turn around and sue you. So you got like a company of 50 employees. 10 of those employees are carrying all these other 40 employees. So it's cool.
Yeah.
But there's good things about unions too.
There are. And it all comes down to how you're wired as an individual, because like part of you could just be like, oh, if you can't beat them, join them or whatever. If you can just sit back and like take advantage of that security, then great. But to me, it's like, if I'm going to follow the corporate ladder and the union, they got that chart. They're just like, okay, you're getting paid this much today. Once you hit X amount of months or years, you're going to get bumped to this, then this, then this. And you're looking at that and you're like, man, unless I bust out of the union and I'm part of the managerial, whatever side of it that's not protected by the union, you know what I mean? Like that's where your salary can double, but that's also where the risks and all that are.
You can walk out the door. I've seen mass people.
Yeah.
I've seen masses get fired that come and clean out 40 people.
Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, and
you're also not in an office begging for raises.
So,
right.
No, it's true. And the driver here at this point, though, wasn't necessarily the corporate, because I was still fairly young. Like I was 27, 28 at this point, somewhere around there. And me always sort of thinking about the future, I'm like, I want a fucking Ferrari at 30. Like, that was sort of my mindset when I was young. It was like, I need to like be doing something so I can have a Ferrari when I'm 30 years old. So I start seeking things out, like something for a change. And I actually was on SVT Performance and I just typed in, I said, listen, guys, I need to get out of Canada. I want out of the cold. I want good car culture. I want good food. I want good scenery, good cost of living, all this stuff. And like, just by majority, everyone was like Texas, 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 Texas. And like, there were some Floridas and some other things, but like Texas was the majority. So
back then.
back then. And so I just started applying randomly to as many jobs as I could find. And TxDOT, so Texas Department of Transportation, state job, they offer me 2 jobs. One out on the coast in Port Aransas, and then one downtown Austin. And, of course, I just kind of reach out to some people, are like, nah, man, take the Austin one. The coast one is a little too isolated. And I do. And funny enough, obviously I'm Canadian. So my background from my education allowed me to apply for visas within a tech field, because tech is a desirable or desired field within the US that can easily get a work permit. So when I worked for Lewis, because that was in low voltage communication, it was easy. This one, as a business analyst for the state, again, it was fairly easy. So here I am at the border, and you just apply on your way. And the border guard kind of drilled me, because he was like, we're 2008. We're in the world's upside down from an economic standpoint. And he's like, why does the great Lone Star State of Texas need to hire outside of the state, let alone outside of the country? And I said to him, like, because there's a need and I have the qualifications that they need. And I'll never forget it, man. He was a racist border guard. And he said, well, at least you're not made a reference to East Asia, stamped my passport, and I was on my way. So here I was, new place, no winners, and completely organic. Nobody helped me. I didn't know anyone. And working a state job, no union. Texas is hire at will. So you're hired today, you're gone tomorrow. But man, it was like working. We've all seen The Office, that movie. And ironically enough, that scene where so-and-so's driving up and he's like spitting out gangster rap in his car and he's stuck in traffic and shit, that was filmed in Austin. So, I couldn't do it. I was going through personal stuff at the same time with my ex-wife. And this is when Dubai came knocking as an opportunity. And at the same time, I had another offer in Florida, working for the state in IT there. And this was probably the most challenging decision at the time.
How old were you?
So I would have been 29 at this point. And the reason why this decision was so challenging was the Florida job was willing to petition me where I would have the ability to get a green card. And there's a lot of paperwork behind it, and there's a lot of commitment behind it. It takes about 4 years. So here's a job offer. I knew I'd have to stay with that job for 4 years. And mind you, remember, I moved 14 times by the time I was 14. I had never lived in the same place for more than like 3 years at this point. So I'm like, I got to be in central Sebring, Florida. Like it's kind of isolated in itself. For 4 years, see it through. If I lose that job, I'd have to start all over again. I was already starting to like feel this corporate whatever like mentality. And that's where I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll go to Dubai and hopefully I'll make enough money and I'll buy my way into the US. So I left and I went over. Everything, like I can't even explain, like what was supposed to be a year turned into 10. There was lots of ups and downs, but I'll say this, before I turned 31, I had the option to buy my first Ferrari. I didn't buy it then because I was trying to be a little bit smarter about things. But
we talking top of the line Ferrari or fucking bottom of the barrel Ferrari?
Man, it was
fucking Ferrari, bro. Why you got to go there?
So, I'm just curious.
I know.
So we're what, 2011, and I was looking at a 08 F430.
Oh, okay.
So like the 458 was like brand new, and it was like I can't, you know what I mean? I'm not getting into that.
Fucking
but
Fiero with a Ferrari body.
So this, even though I was working for a university over there, private university, so this is not public sector, extreme cutthroat mentality. Everyone that's over there is trying to accelerate their career. They're all like looking for the quick and easy way to, make money and build their resumes. So there's a lot of opportunity because like a revolving door. Some people play the game. Some people, if they're not there seeking opportunity, they were running away from something. So then whatever they ran away from, they just can't take it. Sometimes it's cultural adjustment. There's a million different reasons that we could get into, but it was the constant seeking opportunity thing that kept me there. It was like everyone that you were around were like-minded people trying to get ahead, trying to do this. You know what I mean? And just because it was such a revolving door, it allowed me to like jumpstart through my career exponentially. And the downside to that is you're busy filling so many vacuums and different roles all the time that you never really immerse yourself into one thing. So that and just the business practices, the ways of doing things, like there people yell to get their point across and like death threats happen. It's like part of everyday life. So people get angry because like you can't be violent there. Like you can't give the middle finger. Like there's a lot of things like extremely safe country, but people just behave differently. So you start getting used to that. And then you come back to what we say the first world. And you quickly realize that you're not going to be able to, I guess, adapt back to a normal corporate world or so. Like, dude, I get fired in a week. Like, there's no way that I could go back into any of those roles that I had. I don't want to say I was damaged, but like, I'd been on the other side of the fence. And
But
there was just
also though, Chris, you weren't at one place all that long, like time invested, or was to buy the same job for 10 years?
So I lived in the same apartment for 9 out of the 10. So it was the longest place I had ever physically lived. The job I was in, I was there for 7 out of the 10.
Okay.
And then I ended up going to a different job, and it was the second job. So I guess let's put some numbers on this here. I went over at like 29, 30, and I came back right as I was turning 40. And as I had said when I was 20 that I wanted to own a Ferrari when I was 30. When I was 30, I said I wanted to be able to do my own thing or be retired by the time I'm 40. So it was probably around 2016, 2017, the Foxbody market. Mind you, I hadn't owned a Foxbody at this point in 10 years. I had my M5, I had my Viper truck, had my F430, and had a CBR 1000 Repsol. That was it. So 2016, I still remember this Foxbody that popped up on eBay, and it sold for like 15, 16 grand, like titanium frost notch and super like low mile, clean car, tasteful mods. I'm like, man, that car sold for a shit ton. You know what I mean? I was like blown away that this car pulled over 10 grand. And at that point, I was sort of like, man, maybe there's an opportunity to, get back in the Foxbody game.
Are you still in Dubai at this point?
Yep.
Okay.
So 2017, I buy my silver notch, sight unseen. And I'm like, I'm going to build like anybody else. You know what I mean? I got money now. I'm going to build the car that I had back when I was in high school, and I'm going to build it the way that I want it. And that'll be that. So buy that car. And then I just kind of see the market, it continuing to like get better and better and better with these cars to the point where it's like, man, I kind of know these cars, really well. And funny enough, now we get to rewind the clock back, right? Because I did the infamous project in the original one in 09. So right before I left right when I came back from Australia, when I was in this shift of before going to Texas, that's when I live streamed the white BMW and the Stalker Vert, rebuilding them in my parents' garage. And the Stalker Vert, funny enough, it seemed like I owned it, but I'd sold it to a good friend of mine. So I actually built it for him, but it seemed like it was mine. So that's why it seemed like I might have owned a Foxbody in that period, but I actually didn't. And I guess the live streaming was way ahead of its time. So it was like very new and foreign to people and whatever else. YouTube wasn't like, you couldn't live stream on YouTube. So like, it was a really cool project and I did it, but like, I didn't really get anything out of it. Like other than the branding, you know, I made it to the car show. I won a couple of awards. That was cool. But as far as I was concerned, when I moved to Texas, I didn't do anything. There was no YouTube posting. There was no posting, no nothing from what, 09. Now we're coming up on 2018. So 9 years of just nothing. And this was the point where I started buying a lot of Fox bodies and hoarding them and deciding that I'm going to make this my exit strategy from Dubai, and to, whether you want to call it retirement or not, I'm still working my ass off, but at least I'm doing something that I enjoy. This is my so-called at 40 retire, do my own thing. And the icing on the cake is that my last corporate job was still in education, and I was in charge of probably about 60 guidance counselors with over 25,000 graduating students annually from high school, helping create programs for all these kids to identify what their passions are and to create pathways, whether it's summer programs, scholarships, co-op placements, whatever it is, for all these kids to like go find the path that they love and go out into the world and follow that. And here I was at like 37, 38 years old, like I need to follow my own fucking advice. So it was sort of, you know, when Gary talks about serendipity and the wind blowing him in a direction, all of these things just kind of sort of all happened at the same time, where it was like my job's literally telling me that, you know what I mean? Hey, dumbass, you're passionate about that. Go do it. The Foxbody market happened to come out of nowhere and start making a sensible, or where I could make a sensible business plan out of it. And I was 10 years in Dubai. Like it was time legitimately for a change. And we found the house. We bought this house sight unseen. You guys have seen it on my videos and everything else with the shop. And that's kind of how it happened. And don't get me wrong, a lot of planning, business planning, market research, looking at different ways, not just like flipping cars, building cars, looking at parts, doing all these things. What happens if, you know what I mean, the market comes upside down? Obviously, COVID actually helped the cause, but that
I was just about to tell you, it couldn't have been a perfect time if we were 2017, 2018 to...
But here was the, and man, I do believe everything happens for a reason. So we bought this house. We literally packed up all our stuff and shipped it all here, thinking that COVID wasn't going to be a big thing. Then to come to find out the embassies and the consulates and everybody is closed. We can't even come to the US to our home. We can't file for our visas. We can't do shit. We have to go back to Canada. So we're stuck in Canada temporarily for just over a year, waiting for the world to fix itself and consulates and embassies to open back up. And thankfully, my good friend Dale had his shop that he allowed me to work out of. So, you know, I mean, I had this little over a year of hustling in Canada, which is sort of like you take a negative and turn it into a positive, because although it was like, okay, our stuff is trapped here and, you know, we can't get our visas and whatever. It's like, well, whatever. I can still make content. I can still do Foxbody shit. Yeah, I'm going to have to move it all, but You know what I mean? At least I was doing it and it all worked out in the end.
So I think we missed, not to cut you off, Chris, but there's something I think we missed.
Yep.
What struggles did you have to deal with in Dubai to come up with the money to buy yourself back like this and buy your house?
So,
or was this just your paycheck?
So
what did you have
a lot of it was saved. Man, I did really well in Dubai. My mentality there was I split my paycheck into thirds. And definitely not in the beginning, because in the beginning it's a new place. You got to get yourself set up and you're discovering things and whatever else. But towards the end, you know, when I was actually like, okay, I need to be smarter, I used like a third for my cost of living. So that was like rent, car insurance, fuel, eating, whatever. I used a third to save, and a third I used to blow. Like literally, I'm buying shoes, I'm traveling, I'm buying a car, I'm doing whatever I want with that. So some people might want to see different ratios, but to me, again, you got to remember in Dubai, dude, Tom, it's probably like how you work now.
Right.
That's how you're working over. Like you're almost always working. You do get a good amount of like you get 5 weeks of holiday a year on average, but it's amazing how hard it is to take that time. And I'm sure you can relate to it. Like when you are like immersed and it's like you got deadlines and you got projects and you got this and you got that. And it's just like you're tied to it. And like when you're in charge, you know, I had 65 people reporting to me on the first job at the university. And then, like I said, I had 60 plus on the second one. And it's just your phone, even if you're on holidays, you know, your phone's constantly being blown up. People expect that you're always going to be available because over there, that was the mentality. It's like, if you don't answer the phone, like you're going to have a problem. And if you travel, especially if you travel back home, well, now you got a 13, 14-hour time difference. So you're almost up 24 hours because not only are you trying to relax, have a good time, you got to be available for all the assholes back there that can't handle their job because you're not around. So, yeah, dude, there's a lot of saving and a lot of planning. Like Gorrddo said, like you got to be disciplined. Like you got to be like, what's my goal? What do I need to do to achieve it? And you know what I mean? This whole US thing just adds a whole other level of, you know, stress or uncertainty that less for me and more for Gary, because me having lived abroad so many times, I always knew I was a guest in someone else's country. And it's like, so if something happens and I need to leave, then I need to leave. And like, that's hard to kind of fathom to a certain extent. But like in Dubai, it's like you always have your suitcase packed. It's like a joke. It's like if you got into trouble or maybe there's like wars or something that let loose all of a sudden, sort of like what, you know, we've seen recently, it's like, what would you grab? And it was always like, there's a stack of cash, there's your passport, there's, in my case, Mr. Meow and Brittany, and you know what I mean? Just the basics. But like, you just kind of, and you guys have all seen it, like the abandoned Ferraris and Lambos and stuff. Yeah. People just literally hop on a plane and peace out because maybe they went bankrupt or maybe whatever, and they just.
But that's easier. I think that's easier for people like us, people that grew up poor, people that moved around a lot when we were kids. Whether you want to admit it or not, psychologically, we're already always in that mindset. Like I, for one, can tell you that, and I tell my wife this all the time, like I can start over at any given moment. I can go meet new people. I can go find a new job because it's embedded in me. And it's just my wife, you know, I tell her I'm always not hiding money, but putting money away because I grew up poor. My wife didn't. My wife was one of those people that her parents figured everything out, and she never once knew if her parents didn't have money or if they were struggling, which is great. That was her parents' jobs to make sure. But I come from a walk of life where I knew every time we didn't have food, where were we going to sleep? What were we going to do? So she's kind of like, you know, she's like lost. And I'm always like, I need to make sure all these ducks are in a row. If something goes wrong, boom, I already have a plan. And so you know, I come across a lot of, you know, my employees, I come across a lot of my buddies that kind of have the same mentality that my wife does, like, oh, whatever, you know, life will sort itself out. Fuck that. Right. you gotta have a plan, you gotta hustle. But then that's the reason that we are where we're at and they are where they're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I mean, parents' job is only to a certain extent, bro. Like if you're mid-30s and you're still relying on your mom and dad, I'm sorry. Like you need to get your shit together.
Well, I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings with this next statement, right? Because we have guys in the community, right? And people always be like, oh, that guy's fucking rich, right? And I don't ever like worry about where people's money come from or what they do with their cars. But I'm like, it's easy to look like that when you are in credit card debt, when you live with your mom, when you don't take care of your kids or whatever the case may be. So I don't compete with a lot of that stuff, but people who have their stuff going on or kind of always have a plan, we kind of see through all that BS and we don't care about it. I don't care about people's finances. I don't care about, what they're doing. So it's kind of funny that I hear that like comment all the time, like, oh, he's got a bunch of cars. I'm like, okay. He also doesn't have a mortgage. He also doesn't have kids in private school or whatever, the things that you have. He also doesn't run his own business. You know what I mean? And he has to pay for his own health care or however the case may be.
Well, that's another thing I actually wanted to bring up to Chris. Healthcare. That's a big one for me.
Don't get
I'm just going to ask you flat out directly because it's not a secret. Everyone knows you recently had a health scare. You had cancer. How'd you handle that? Do you have health insurance?
So I did have health insurance, and like it wasn't timing kind of worked in my favor, right? So I had like the sole proprietor, like discounted health insurance thing that worked out okay initially, like for my surgery and stuff. But then like when I knew I was going to have to go into chemo, that happened in December. And we all know that enrollment here is in December for January 1st. So I lucked out with going to my oncologist and being like, okay, who's the best insurance provider in the marketplace so that I can enroll with that one? You know what I mean? And so they told me, and yeah, I went from paying $150 a month to $350, but I had a $0 deductible, and you know what I mean? It covered the majority of the treatments. Like it doesn't cover all the CT scans and all that. Like I was still probably.
Do you just get direct bills for that?
Yeah, but man, it's crazy that, and this is the most frustrating part. Like if I showed you, I literally have a stack of medical bills, probably about this high. And it's like, so when you go in for surgery, anesthesiologist charges you, the hospital charges you, this person charges you. They all do it separately. And they're all like rushing to see, like hoping that you pay them first so that you don't screw them. Cause we all know how like medical bills and shit works. And I mean, it's just, that's a huge frustration. So like when you're going through that really sucks, but it is what it is. Like I'd probably say out of pocket for everything, I'm probably 40, 50K out of pocket.
So to some people that's life altering.
Oh, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like and that was the thing, man. Like when the shitbox went on Bring a Trailer, I was trying to cover some fucking bills. You know what I mean? Like I could have tried and done the waffle route, but like it just seemed shady to me, and I didn't want to like go down that, or I wasn't looking for GoFundMe's. I wasn't looking for whatever. It was just like whatever. I got fucking bills to pay. Someone's just gonna say that guy can just sell one of his fucking cars anyways, and he'll be fine. So it was like, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, the problem here, like Gorrddo mentioned earlier, bro, it wasn't the $50,000 of bills. Like, fine, I'll find a way to make the money and pay it. The problem is when I can't make the fucking money because I'm not feeling well. And I have doctor's visits.
That's always my question to you. You've heard me say this a million times. Like at some point, like our bodies aren't going to be able to do what they do right now. And then my perception of it is, have a plan, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the idea of like Gary was just like, it'll happen. I'm a motivated guy, all this, love him. but that still doesn't resonate with me because we don't know what, you don't know when that time is going to come.
Like, I think the point is being prepared. It's like starting a business without a fucking business plan. Like, if you do that, you're already set up for failure. You have to have a plan on your projections. Even if you're wrong, you know what I mean? Then you make adjustments, and you should be evaluating, like, not only your business, but yourself. Am I happy? Am I doing well? Am I getting fucking angry at my wife or at my kids if you've got them? Like, that's all of like the positive side, but nobody ever really looks at the other side of it. Like, nobody wants to have to write a will or, do trusts or do whatever it is, because it's a shitty process to do. But you know what I mean? You have to do it, but don't do it to dwell on it. Like, oh my God, I might get sick tomorrow. I might get if you just keep thinking that you're going to die or something bad's going to happen and the glass is half empty, like, it's the old saying off Shawshank, get busy living or get busy dying. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think anyone listening to this thinks like that. I think guys who listen may be like, well, number one, like, obviously it's a Mustang podcast, they're all into it, right? Like, say Gordo's like, we'll just use you as a hypothetical. You know what, man? I love this. Like, I'm getting followers, my shit's growing, I got the 5 event stuff, like, things are looking good. Like, maybe I should just like quit my job, like, and do my own thing and start my own company.
Great.
Is it though?
That's the idea, but if you're serious about the idea, you're gonna put the framework and the planning behind the idea.
Well, yeah, because I could say that today. I could say that today, right? And say, oh, I'm gonna go fucking quit my job, right? But then guess what? There's so much amount of money that comes into my house, and then there's so much that goes out, and that number's not gonna stop.
No,
the number going out's never gonna stop. And so that was the point that I was gonna make. Chris was saying, let's just use the example of, he was like, when I was 20, I knew by 30 I wanted a Ferrari. When I was 30, I knew by 40 I wanted to be doing my own thing, right? So I have the same thing. I'm always constantly looking at like, okay, I want this, but that's just on the car side of stuff. I'm also doing that in life. Yeah. Like you come up with this plan and you're like, what people don't understand is they tell me all the time, like, oh, I want to be able to buy a house, right? Or my buddies tell me all the time, like, you have money in savings or you have equity in your home, go pull it and get what you want. Build the fucking car you want, do whatever you want, whatever. But I'm like, no, I'm leaving that in place, because if my furnace goes out and, they have to come and repair it, that's a $10,000, like, here, you just get slapped with that bill. It's either you're going to pay it or you're not going to have a furnace. Same thing with healthcare. Either you're going to pay this or you're not going to be healthy. So yes, you can have your plans with your cars and your goals, but you also have to do the same thing with life. And so when you're, I have kids I have a 7 and a 9-year-old, but I also have a 17-year-old. So right now I'm like, I want to go buy this car that I've always wanted. But then I'm like, shit, next year my son's going to be looking at colleges. You know what I mean? So do I just be a dumbass and go buy the car I want? No, I put that on hold, but I still want that. So I'm still driving and working towards that. But the smarter person is like, I need to have this. This needs to be taken care of first before I can do this. And there's a lot of people in life that don't do that. I listen to these people and they have no 10-year plan, as corny as that sounds. No, like, what are you looking for tomorrow? I don't know. Like, I have guys right now that are asking at work, they're asking for raises. And when you turn around and ask them the question, like, oh, well, what is it that you're trying to do? I don't know. I just want to raise. What the fuck? Like, when I wanted to buy my first house, I went in and I'm like, hey, like, let's sit down. I've been loyal to you guys, but I'm about to take this plunge and buy my first house. I don't know how things are going to be. I'm going to be responsible for more things. Like, can we talk about the payment? I'm going in telling you why I want to raise. These kids are coming in like, I just want more money. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you have no plan. You couldn't even tell me one fucking thing you want to buy with more money. Like, that's where people differ. There's people like us who have always been hustlers and have always thought ahead. And there's people that are just like literally just fucking dragging their feet through life.
Well, I'll say this, man.
Go ahead, Chris.
And there's a few things. The first one is a lot of people start going through life saying, oh, I don't know what I want to do, this, that, and whatever, and a lost soul. I've always said to people, because, you know, I've worked in education so long, finding out what you want to do can be a lifelong process. But if you can find out what you don't want to do, and you can actually kind of do process of elimination, and it's like, if you really fucking hate doing that, then don't do it. You know, like, you can actually like really draw some important conclusions about yourself and where you need to go by like doing that whole process, and then being able to put things into perspective. Because it's like, if you're not open to understanding or open to trying new things, and that's another one, because people just know what they know, what they're surrounded by. They know because they were born in that area. And if they've never seen how another culture, another country, or another scenario operates, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that if they could see that, they would be like, holy fuck, I really don't have it that bad at all. Like, I'm going to shut up right now and apologize to everyone that I insulted, because
It's fun.
you know
It's
what I mean? I
funny that
didn't
you.
know.
It's funny that you say that, right? Because my whole life I've known what I don't want to do, right? So exactly, I don't know where I'm going, but I know that I don't want to do that. And so, me being a hyper person, being a very social person, being a very outspoken person, in school I couldn't sit still, bro. I would get fucked. I was a class clown. I would have these counselors that were trying to ask me these bullshit questions, but they'd always ask me one thing: what do you want to do, right? Like, what is? And I would always tell them, I don't know, but I know I don't want to sit still in a classroom. And so I take that, and the same thing applies in life. I'm still that person that, and so whenever I go seek employment, or I go and trying to channel my energy, or put myself into a hobby, I know clear as day, I don't want to be in the same fucking room. I don't want to be somewhere where I have to sit still. I like meeting new people, so I want to change scenery as much as possible. And so, knowing that, I've been able to open a lot of doors because I know exactly what I don't want to do. So it's funny that you said you don't know what you want to do, and it's a lifelong process to find your hobby, the things that interest you, the things you love. But we as human beings know right off the bat what we don't want to do. Yeah. And people don't use that basic information and apply. Let's say you don't want to be fucking flipping burgers, but you work at McDonald's. You know you don't want to be flipping burgers, and yet here you are, too scared to go somewhere, and you're just tolerating this, and you're killing yourself. You're becoming complacent. You're shoving your thoughts into a hole, and just, in 10 or 15 years, you're going to explode, or you're going to turn around and say, shit, I never did anything.
But why is the reasons that people don't want to leave those positions? It could be anything.
It's comfort. Like, and here's the second part.
Is it comfort? Is it comfort for just them? Or is it
so
they have mortgages, car payments, kids,
dude,
food to pay for, electrical bills, like all those things? Like, is it fear of not being able to do that?
So, and this is one of those things that like life teaches you. So it's like, I'm going to say it. Some people might get it. Some people wouldn't understand it unless they truly lived through it. And misery loves company, and society.
Amen.
Canada is got to be the worst. The mentality of they're living paycheck to paycheck, or I'm living paycheck to paycheck, they should be living paycheck to paycheck. I'm driving a shitty car. Why is he driving a nice fucking car? The people that you surround yourself with are going to be the most influential and potentially good, and the same side potentially bad on the way, and they will hold you back. Like, Gorrddo was being held back of being his personality and true to himself because the school didn't understand. And this is where like the benefit of social media, or the benefit of the internet, it allows like-minded people to very easily be able to associate, communicate. You like crazy shit here, then find the other people that like crazy shit. You know what I mean? But like, the people that you surround yourself with, and the people who you think are your friends, And I'll give a really good example of this. In college, university, we remember we had AOL Messenger, MSN Messenger, ICQ, Yahoo Messenger. And I remember I had this program that ran them all. And I think I had like 100 people online at any given time that I could sit there and fucking chat with and waste time, so to speak. And when I moved to Florida, was the first time I moved away from home. I went to go work for Lewis. And I'm on this, I'm fucking around, you know what I mean? Messaging random people that I don't even really know. And I asked myself, I'm like, how many of these people would I actually like call? Because like long distance was still a thing, back then, or you had minutes on your fucking cell phone. It wasn't all inclusive, you know what I mean? Like how many people would I spend the 10 cents a minute to make a phone call to? How many people would I actually send a Christmas card to? Bro, like just chop that list down to like 5%.
Bro, I love
everybody that's on this list. And
I loved your Christmas cards this year, by the way.
So, and that is one thing that I take very seriously to heart. And Brittany always says, she's like, you have the best friends out of anybody that I've ever met. And to me, my friends are my family. And I know, like, if we do have our official wedding at some point, it'll be really easy. You know what I mean? Whereas my good friend who got married last weekend, he'd moved away, and he gets what I'm saying right now as well. But his wife is new to being away from home, and she had a lot of save the dates and a lot of people that were not going to take the flight to Texas because she's from Canada to join the wedding. And like nobody had to tell me, I knew why. They're not your real fucking friends. And you know what? Some of those family members aren't your real fucking family as far as
I was going to touch on that next. I was like, dude, sometimes we look up to a cousin or we hang around this, or you even take advice from your older uncles and older aunts. So that's one of the biggest things too. One of the things that I heard was like, make sure that the people that are around you, your close friends, that they love their life. You know what I mean? And they're enjoying their life, because if they do, they're going to push you and motivate you to do better. They're not going to be, negative. They're not going to be, oh, don't go after that. Oh, don't do this. They're going to actually be a support system for you. Because like you said, let's say you're hanging around a bunch of people and you're one of those dudes that's like, I've always known that I was, destined for more than this. I've always known that, I can do my own business or do this or simply leave my hometown, right? And then you got your buddies that you grew up with that have always been like, I'm going to live here my whole fucking life. I'm going to die in this town. You know what I mean? And you go and you tell them, hey, I'm thinking about moving, out of the country, or let alone out of the city. The first thing out of their mouth, dude, is going to be like, nah, bro, you got it good here. Like, and you're going to be like, shit, if I listen to that, rather than, I had one of my best friends. He was like, man, I'm just kind of tired of California. I feel like this is it for me. Like, I'm not advancing. And he's like, I have an opportunity, to go to Texas and make more money. And he's like, it's scary because my mom's here and she's sick and she's, and I said, dude, if you know in your heart, because he had just had a kid, that it's going to do better, go out there, make sure you just, come back and visit your mom.
So you guys, two questions, actually. I want to go reverse a little bit and touch on this again. Both you guys said, like, if you're not happy where you are, what the fuck you doing? Right? So you guys think that regardless of someone's situation, financial situation at home, kids, house, all these things, that does not mean anything. If you're not happy, you should just go.
Yes.
Is that what you guys are telling me?
Bro, your environment means everything. And I would tell this to kids that were going away to college or university, because in my case, in Dubai, they're all going internationally. They're either going back to home countries or different countries or whatever it might be, let alone like a different city or a different state, is that you might be going to the best school for the best program, or you might have the best job for the best employer. But dude, if you're going home every night to a place that you fucking hate, whether it's because it's cold or it's a shitty fucking neighborhood, or there's nothing to do there because they're isolated. Like think of people that work in oil fields or whatever, or that are out on rigs forever. The money is what's motivating them and getting them to tolerate the environment in which they're in. And the money can only go so far. And don't get me wrong, it can work for a short term. Worked for me for 10 years in Dubai. You know what I mean? Like there was a motivator because we're all motivated differently. And money can be it. Freedom can be it. Like experiences can be it. So if you're not going home every day to a place that allows that, remember what I said when I was when I ended up in Texas. I said, I want weather, culture, car community, like cost of living, and that environment. Look where I ended up.
But you also took 10 years to build up an account that could support you to do that.
Yeah, I want to touch on what he said, because he was like, if you're going home to an environment you don't like, you're only tolerating the money. That's half of it. So you have guys that wake up every day and they're fucking dragging their ass to work and they hate it. So number one, make sure where you come home to is a place that you find peace, you find comfort, you want to be there, but also you want to be waking up every day with drive. This is coming from somebody who, lived the gang life, went to prison, kind of had a rough start, grew up without parents, didn't really have like a set, hey, do this, do that. I tell my kids right now, I said, education is great. You know what I mean? Your only job until you're 18 is to go to school and learn, right? Here, and I'm going to give you this from a Hispanic culture, right? This is basically us. I don't know how you guys can relate to this, but our parents or our grandparents migrated from another country to give us a better life, right? To give us a better head start education. So when we're kids, it's driven in us. If you don't go to school, you're not going to be anything. So guess what? People that are weak-minded, and you have the people that love you telling you this, when you turn 18, you don't know what the fuck you want to do. And then you go and get in debt to go to college.
Yeah, I don't buy into that bullshit.
Well, yeah. So that's where I tell my kids, because I see it. I see people that I went to high school with that went off to go to college for 6 years. I went off and was a knucklehead and went to prison or whatever, came back. But those people never learned social skills. They never learned how to go into a room and engage and how networking works. They were just book. And I can tell you that every single door that I've ever opened has been based off of, number one, my personality, because I don't treat people like shit. You know what I mean? Everyone has respect. But number two, it's the network. It's like I have my job right now because of how I'm good with people and how I'm able to network. So what I tell my kids is, and I'm passionate about what I do. I love what I do. So I wake up with that energy. And guess what? Other people feed off of that energy. They look at me and they're like, shit, dude, this guy's, you can tell he loves what he's doing. He's here. Rather than you go into a place and there's a fucking guy with a bad attitude and he gives you shitty service, you're like, fuck, this guy's just here to pay the bills, to punch a clock, and he fucking hates his, job, hates his life. Like, so what I tell people, anybody that I come in contact with, yes, we all need money to survive, 100%. But what is it, if you have a lot of money and you're lonely and you're miserable, you might as well be fucking poor and happy. You know what I mean? So find that balance.
So Gorrddo,
everybody needs a lot of money. Like,
no,
yeah. I just need a shit box.
Our friend Gary doesn't need money
at all. So Gorrddo, you have 3 kids. Say you I don't know, you've been working wherever you're working for 10 years, right? You're vested in this company, you got health benefits, you got 401ks, you got all the good things. Now, it's easy to come on this podcast and talk all inspirational to people, which I think is great, by the way. But the reality of it is, like, is it really that easy for the guys listening to this podcast to walk away from those things to the unknown when they have? Now, Chris is a different story. Chris doesn't have kids, right? So that's kind of in its own separate thing. And I don't expect Chris to get this, but there are dudes listening to us right now that are like, what the fuck are these guys talking about, man? I can't just walk away from my health benefits, my 401k, my eye care, my dental care. I've been in this place for 10 years. I'm fucking miserable. I hate it, but I'm making $60 an hour. You know what I mean? I'm giving my kids a better life than I had. But God, I hate this fucking place. And I wish I could just go work at a fucking tire shop.
You have to want the next thing though. Like one thing is hating here, and a lot of people won't go and quit their job because they don't know where the fuck they're going. But if you have a person that like Chris, who was like, I did it, I tried it, you know, I succeeded, but I know that this isn't where I wanted to be. There's guys that are out there that they hate their job, they make great money, but they couldn't even tell you what they want to do tomorrow. These are guys that are going to retire and have nothing to do, and their body's going to shut down because they don't have a hobby, because they don't. It's not all about your work. It's not all about your money.
I get what you're saying. I do.
It's not easy. To answer your question, it's not easy to say, hey, I'm going to give up this $100,000 job with benefits and healthcare and a secure environment for my kids to go chase my dream. It's not easy at all.
What I think is kind of what I said to Gary. Like my advice to that would be like, use your shitty, miserable job as an umbrella to start bridging into what you really want to do. But what I've discovered is people like to talk a lot. They don't like to do a lot. People like to want a lot, but they're unwilling to sacrifice anything for that. Right? There's always an excuse. You know, the kids are excuse. The wife's an excuse. There's always an excuse not to go put in the extra 2 hours to make this dream happen, right?
So here's the thing about that there's a couple things. The first thing is life is about choices, right? So if you've got 3 kids and you've got those responsibilities, your kids are your priority. So yes, you should 100% be wired that I need to take care of my family first. You made that fucking choice, own it. And if you know what I mean, you got to work to the day you die to make sure that you're taking care of your responsibility. That's being a man.
That's the choice you chose.
That's the choice you took. Now, with that being said, if you know you want something different and it's just a matter of finding a way to get there, then you got to take the steps that are necessary in order to do so. And whether it's you feel like your family's holding you back or your friends are holding you back or whatever it is, like as corny as this sounds, find a mentor. Find somebody that is doing or has lived through what you have lived, and they don't need to be your friend. They're there to mentor. It's almost like a boss or a job that can say, you need to focus on this, or that can help you plan, or can even be, what is it? Like your champion or your fucking cheerleader. It's like going to the gym and trying to like lift, like, come on, finish your reps, like get it done. You're almost there. You need somebody doing that so that you are putting in those 2 hours. Like when I first did the Infamous project, it was 9 to 5, straight to my parents' house, to the shop. And from whatever, 5:30 to however late I went that night for 3 months straight. And that was my regime in order to get the cars done.
Well, he touched on a good point. Like what he just said was, and this is to answer your question, is it easy or is it not? The problem is that somebody working a job, right, is punching a clock. They have a set schedule. They maybe have a hobby or a car, or they're invested in something, right? And so when you take that plunge to go after what you want and start your own business, guess what? Here's the reality of it. You might go 5, 6, 7 years without doing, you might have to sacrifice these 5 things that you do on a daily basis to be able to go after that. And the only, I can give an example because
that's a really good, actually, bro, that's a really good point. Like say you're building cars for fun, right? And you want to turn this into a business or whatever. It doesn't matter what it is, right? If you're sewing fucking knitting, I don't fucking know, whatever. You may have to put your stuff second right?
Or third or fourth. You know what I mean? Like it's.
See, the best thing that you can do as well is because a lot of guys have the idea. And we talked about that. This would be a great idea. There's a lot of ways that you can try and experience your idea without having to fully execute it. Right. So it's like, oh, well, okay, I just want to build cars for a living. You know, I don't want to work for my boss anymore. Well, newsflash, you're still working for people. Every single Foxbody in my shop equals a different boss that I have because I'm doing work for them. Do I get to dictate when and how I'm doing it? Yes. But you know what I mean? Instead of just reporting to one person, I'm reporting to like 10. You know, so it's like you need to ask yourself, right? Like you got to go down and really ask yourself if that's what you want, because people naturally want what they don't have. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I have curly hair. I wish my hair was straight. I'm short. I wish I was tall. Blah blah blah. I wish I was famous, and then the famous person wishes I'm just a civilian. I don't want the paparazzi. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, when you have these ideas, you really got to like, and that's on you as an individual. You got read the books, read blogs, do the research on the internet, talk to people that have done it, because I guarantee you 9 out of 10 people that have, and probably even more than that, should not make that leap, or they're not wired to be able to take it, or they would have done it already. You know what I mean? So like,
well, there's people that aren't disciplined to say, I'm going to do this. They need their boss to tell them, this is what you need to do. There's people that need to be supervised. And that's one of the things, but that's only half the battle. We haven't even dug into your personal stuff, right? How hard is it when you go to take that plunge, right? When you've been a provider for your family and you're able to be in your kids' lives and you're able to do stuff with your wife and able to do stuff with your family, to saying, hey, I'm going to take this dive. And if you don't have an excellent partner, that's like, hey, it fucking sucks what you're doing. I hate it because you're not around, but it's a 5 or 7 year sacrifice so that we can retire and fucking go do whatever we want in the later years. If you don't have that excellent partner, that's gonna, of course, women are always gonna complain. Same thing with us. You know, my wife wants to go get a job and now I'm pissed because nobody's cooking for me, right? It's either or. That's just the sacrifice that we have to make. So not only are you making a sacrifice as a person to go after what you want, but your family's making a sacrifice and you have to hear about it. You know what I mean? Your wife's not going to be happy. So number one, it's taking that leap, giving up some shit that you probably don't need anyways to give up, or putting stuff on hold, like your projects, your current life, or, hey, I always go to the bar on Tuesday with fucking Phil. Guess what? You're not going to the fucking bar, you know, because you got this. You know, it all boils down to what was said originally.
I agree.
I was tired of a 9 to 5 and now I work all the fucking time. But you work for yourself. So, and you're working towards something. People are always focused on the now. Oh, shit sucks now. But think about it. When everybody else that didn't take that leap is still working a 9 to 5 and you get to retire when you're fucking 50 or 45, and now you get to be on a boat and you don't have to wait until you're practically dying to retire and then try to enjoy the money that you've saved your whole life, that's what you're working towards. So if you don't see the end game, you're never going to be able to do it.
But you can reach that end game not being a business for yourself as well.
Oh,
100%.
1,000%. And
I would argue almost quicker.
Yeah, we're not going to we're not preaching to everybody to go quit your fucking job. We're preaching to the people that know that they're miserable at work, right? Yeah. And they're destroying, because guess what? When you're unhappy and you go somewhere that's toxic and negative, you're destroying your body faster. You're always stressed out. You're always in a bad mood. You're not happy. You're not genuinely happy. So we're not preaching to the people that have excellent 9 to 5s that are like, hey, I'm going to fucking work and whatever. We're preaching to those people that are like, you know, you're miserable. You hate where you're at. Why not? If you've always thought you could do this, take that leap. Because guess what? I'm going to touch on the next topic. Think about 20 years ago when somebody wanted to take that leap, how difficult it was to start your own business, to advertise, to network. Oh, dude, my buddy started a detail business. He went to school. He was a nurse, started detailing. Of course, he was scared, bought a fucking raggedy ass car and was like, I'm going to be doing details. We're going to shows. We're promoting his detail company. We're networking. He's fucking wiping people's cars down at shows, and now he's got multiple vans and he's fucking detailing, and he's set where he could step back and walk away. But do you think he thought about all that? But the power of it was most of his business came from Instagram.
Yeah, dude.
Most of his business came from Facebook. And so you have these people that are like, you live in a generation now where you fucking have to just show up for yourself and fucking be genuine and not be afraid to network, dude. It's easy. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. It's easier.
I think I just still go back to the main thing, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse here because I have a question I got to ask Chris directly. But I just still think in the back of dudes' minds, you know, the guys with the families and the houses and the whole shit, that fear of putting that at risk is the main cause people don't make this move.
No, man, I think it is. And the fear of like truly immersing yourself in failure. Like there's so many variables. Again, going back to business plan, like you should have a SWOT analysis of like, okay, what are the threats? Like I know what my weaknesses are, but what are the threats? Is it competition? Is it economic? Is it political? Is it whatever? You know what I mean? And anything can happen at any given time, but the same thing can happen at your day job. You know what I mean? Like you could get shit canned tomorrow because God knows whatever happens and you're good. Your ass is going to, you might have severance, but your ass is still going to be on the street. My neighbor worked for the same company for 15 years. And last year they let him go for restructuring, whatever he had.
I mean, there are some jobs that are harder to get fired from. I'll just be open. My job, it's very hard to get fired. Well, and when you do get fired,
there's a lot of jobs that are easy and as simple as economics. You're laid off, and then all of a sudden you find yourself needing to try and do something. And that is an opportunity. You know what I mean? Not that I'm saying go and get yourself fired, but if you were to get fired tomorrow, do you have a plan? Because
there's money put away. Well, here's the thing too. Let's say you were to get fired, right? From your regular job. What do you think is something that you're going to have to do? Not talking about finding a new work, what do you think in your life you're going to have to do? You're going to have to restructure your finances, right?
Of course.
So a lot of us know our bottom dollar that needs to come in. And a lot of us know how much money we fuck off. Like he said, I was fucking off a third of my money, right? So
I'll bet you, Gorrddo, so many people listening to this don't know how much money they need a month.
Oh no, that's my point. I do because I know I've been in that position where I've had to sit down and tell my wife, hey, babe, like shit's gonna be tough for the next 3 months. Like we need to really cut out all the fat, you know? Because a lot of us eat out because it's easy. The kids, I want this, I want that. You know where you can fucking cut out all that fat and you know exactly what your bottom dollar is. So the same thing applies if you were to take that leap. Okay, now I'm gonna sacrifice the things that I normally do on my daily basis. I know that I'm gonna be working twice the hours that I'm working now. That's the reality of it. But then you have to take your life, your spending, your personal stuff, and cut out all the fat. For us, it's a small sacrifice for the long run. People don't want to do that. You know, when I wanted to buy my first house, I told my wife, I want to go to Disneyland. I want to go here. I'm like, no, money, money, money. Like he said, I had to walk away from cars. I had to fucking leave a hobby that I've had since I was a kid playing with Hot Wheels and say, I'm not fucking with these cars. I want to buy a house. I was tunnel vision. I don't want to spend. We're not going to eat out. But guess what? When I bought my house 2 or 3 years later, my wife's sisters constantly taking trips to Disney, constantly going to Universal, doing this. You know what they came and told me? Like, man, we wish we would have bought a house. Yeah, let me tell you, it was 7 years of me and my wife not spending a fucking dime to be able to say, because one thing was I want to buy a house. Another thing was I want to buy the house that I want. So those were the two things that drove, but there was a lot of sacrifice. Right. And now that we're comfortable, I'm okay, let's go take that trip. But we didn't do that for a long time.
Where people want instant gratification if they don't get it.
That's the biggest problem. People want, so if you're a person that works at a 9 to 5 and you want to take that leap, don't think that your life and the money coming in and the things that you currently do right now are not going to change. That's all going to drastically change. So if you're one of those people that doesn't like change, then fucking stay where you're at. You know what I mean? Right. I'm sorry. That's just the bottom line.
I agree with you.
But
Chris, hold on. You have privately told me more than once you've thought about going back to corporate.
Yeah.
So with all this talk, why would you say that to me if everything is so grand?
Oh, I never said everything was grand.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's not necessarily, well, I guess generally speaking, corporate would be the term. I made the reference that we're all driven by different things. And like, for me personally, I've hit 45 and I don't know what 50 is yet. You know what I mean? Like I had these goals for 30, 40. I had the idea in my head, dude, I was excited for my 40s. Like when I was in my 30s, I'm like, man, 40s, it's like, man, like, you know, still got looks, you got enough wisdom and expertise in the world that people take you seriously, because that was my battle. Like being in a C-level role in your 30s and you got people almost twice your age that you're managing, like that's, you know what I mean? Like you're always trying to fucking prove yourself. So I was like, man, 40 is going to be it. You know what I mean? I'm going to hustle. I'm going to be able to like do all these things and it's going to be great. And not that things haven't been great. The health scare last year fucking sucked in a magnitude of ways. And part of me is just like, Fox bodies only go so far. Like I love the cars, but it's where, and especially after this Cobra build, and I don't know if I've told you this in private, Tom, but I'll say it right now. The Cobra build for me will either be a pathway to carry on going forward or it's my last fucking hoorah.
You told me this countless times.
So it's by finishing it, will it spark me or give me that drive to want to carry forward or do some different stuff or whatever within that realm? Or it's like, okay, let's now look at some other, like Fox bodies are always going to be a part of me. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm going to sell them all or do whatever, like maybe, but like
you'll always gravitate back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll always gravitate back.
Fucking line.
You know what I mean? Like I've bought way too many of them back to, you know what I mean? I've proven that to myself already. So it's just more about me trying to find what the next thing is. So when I say go back to corporate, it's sort of like, well, you know, if some really cool opportunity proposed itself somewhere else that's like exciting, because like travel and again, experience in different places of the world or just different places in general are really, really important to me. Like more so than the money, you know? So it's sort of like, if there was that opportunity, I would consider it. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I would definitely consider it.
Right. So what's the make or break with the Cobra? What's the standard? Like, what's that decision look like?
I think based on what
is it a number? Does a car sell for a certain number? Like what's
I think selling for a number is sort of like one thing. But I think finding genuine interest in something that's similar, that makes it different every time. You know what I mean? Like I could never do nut and bolt restorations where I'm trying to do the paint markings and put everything back to original. Like how fucking boring. No offense,
right.
But how fucking boring.
I'm the same exact way. Like I like to go fucking outside the box and like
exactly.
I like, you know, weird shit, but
that's why I love doing the cars and wires. That's why I like I hate fucking red, and I'd never use a Roadster Shop chassis if it were my own car. But you know what? Fuck it. Let me try it so that I can experience it and maybe put my foot in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I go to the Lincoln. The Lincoln's the next on the docket for me. You know what I mean? Maybe I get into slab life for a while, or, you know, maybe I just do a 180. Maybe I get out of cars and there's something else that fuels my passion for a bit. You know what I mean? So I'm just, it's staying open-minded and just challenging myself because, bro, I don't want to die just doing what I'm doing right now. Like I'm hoping I've hit the reset button and I got another 45 years in me, you know?
I totally understand. But with that said, even though I understand, do you think that the money you would like to make doing this, the Fox Bodies can't provide?
I don't think Fox Bodies on their own would, like, people say building cars doesn't make money, generally speaking. Like
it doesn't.
Like, look at your Chip Fooses, like wheels, like everybody's got it.
You're not getting rich, generally speaking.
There's another source of income for any of these guys. Well, look at Gas Monkey or Richard Rawlings, you know what I mean? Energy drink and the fucking tequila and the this and the that.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to say is like, it has to evolve into something. The building the cars is the passion you have, but the turnaround time for the dollar amount is never going to get you rich, right?
Yeah.
I would almost tell people like, it's easier for guys that sit there and buy cars for cheap, do little to nothing for them and flip them. You get back into like when I was in high school and we were buying cars from the junkyard and like shampooing the carpet and tuning them up and then flipping them and making double your money. That's where it's at. But really building cars, if you look at anybody that's built a car, the next step is like sponsorship or a TV show or something to keep you driven, because yes, you have the passion. Yeah. So a lot of the dudes, here it's the same exact concept. These guys are building cars and then they get to a point where they're like, shit, I'm constantly building one after the other. And to really build someone's car and have that pressure of them wanting their car back, you're putting in 10 plus hours a day to finish this car. And when you get that, whatever the payment at the end, it's like, okay, it took me this long to get this money. Right?
Like, not only that, you gotta deal with the bullshit along the way. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. All the fucking pressure.
If it wasn't for social media and I guess all of the other wins that you get or that I get in my position, if I was just a shop that was like off the grid building Fox Bodies, there's no way in hell. You know what I mean? The only reason is because you're trying to open all these different, opportunities or different pathways that you can go down. I mean, that's why me and Gary, like the whole Rollin in my 5.0 thing, it's like, I'm the infamous project. There's a lot of different things that could be infamous. I could start brewing beer under it. I can build cars.
Well, yeah, you can take that name and boom, just keep going with it.
You know what I mean? Like that's something that it's like, I've been just someone that always wants to create opportunity and find these different things, throughout life. So it's, to just say, I'm just going to build Fox Bodies for the rest of my life. Like, no, that's not.
Well, the next thing too is like, I have a lot of buddies that build, they build a bunch of stuff. It doesn't matter what it is, Impalas, trucks, whatever. All of them have somewhere along the line said the same thing. Like, it was a passion. I've always been a car person. I've always loved wrenching. But then when you start wrenching as a business, then you can no longer attend shows because you don't have the fucking time. You can no longer wrench on your own personal vehicles because you don't have the time, let alone go and drive your own cars, right? And so if you're a person that really enjoys driving your car, really enjoys, going to shows and meeting people, and now you're stuck in your shop because you have a deadline and this deadline and that deadline. I have buddies that I'm like, dude, I haven't seen you in fucking 10 years. Oh, dude, I'm just fucking swamped. I can never go to shows. And I'm constantly just sending them, like, tagging them in flyers like, hey, we got this going on. It's close to your shop, close to home. If you can, come out. Just because I know they want to fucking drive their cars, but they just can't. So that's where you kind of get into this little fucking rat. You go right back into the rat race that you were in with corporate. You go into this fucking wheel where you're not having fun. You're just doing it to, get your next project and get money. And when you're a person like, it sounds like Chris is a restless fucking soul. Sounds like he's like, I'm always chasing something that's unorthodox, or I want to do something that's kind of out of the box. If all you're doing is Fox Bodies and building, there's only so much you can fucking do. Unless you get into like the design portion of it, or you get into like, now I want to do stuff for the entire community. Like, advocate this or travel to do this, or that's where shit starts to get fun. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
Fucker ain't doing that. You really get him.
Hey,
you
you got to do what I'm doing, right? I've never fucking. I decided that I want to fucking be a drifter like T-Pain. You know, T-Pain was a rapper his whole fucking life, and now he's a badass fucking drifter. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking take up drifting. I want that fucking adrenaline. I'm an adrenaline junkie.
So the conclusion is like self-evaluation.
100%, man. Like you gotta have goals. You gotta.
Dreams are one thing. Reality,
really, dude. It's like a performance review, like of your on your personal, like you as a person, not just as at your job. I mean, because anybody can mutter their way through that, but like really ask yourself where you want to be, what you want, and if you care that much about it, then do something about it.
And don't let anything hold you back, because you know, I mean, fuck. Here's the next thing that we haven't even touched on. Some people think they're too fucking old to chase their dreams. Fuck that. You know what I mean? There's people that don't find themselves until they're 50 fucking years old. They have all this life experience, and then they're like, boom, now I know what the fuck I want to do. You know what I mean? So don't say that you're too young, you're too old, because you're black, you're brown, you're white because of this. Because here's the reality of it. I got a buddy who fucking, they amputated both of his legs. And then he went on to start his own fucking business that he could do in his wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like, and became so successful. And, you know, it just shows you how sometimes you can get fucking slapped and kicked and pushed down. And then you just find yourself in the midst of all that crap. You had to go through all that stuff in order to be where you're at and who you want to be. So some people are just scared to do that. Like, you're not too old, you're not too young, fucking go for it. Stop being a little fucking pussy.
Well, and
good story, dude.
Yeah. And like, it's work. No matter how you look at it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to put the time in. Like, the amount of people that are like, oh, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm just like, great. Go for it, dude. Or I'm
good fucking luck, bro, because this 30-minute video that you've seen took this many takes and all this bullshit.
Like, you know, it's
fuck that shit.
Man, like, you got to be willing. You're only going to do it if you love it or you're passionate about it. You know what I mean? Like, or the money is so fucking good. Like a guy who owns a septic truck or whatever and goes pumps shit all day. You know what I mean? I know there's good money in shit, but like, that'd be an odd, like any of those dirty jobs are interesting ones to me. But, you know, with that said, like, shit, maybe some people that don't know, like, they just need something that they're in control of. That's just like a sure thing. You know what I mean? Like if you opened up a, what is it? Crematory or whatever. What's the one where you like
people aren't gonna stop fucking dying? So
man, the boomers are fucking going left, right, and center. Like you got a guaranteed pathway. You want to make bank, start burning bodies. Like
in the electrical business, bro.
There you go.
Dude, one of the like thing. Well, yeah, that's the next thing. Like people always laugh, right? At, you know, I'm blue collar, and I'm like, oh, AI is taking our jobs. I'm like, good fucking luck trying to take my job. You know what I mean? So there's other stuff out there. Like, there's a guy that started a business out here, and all he does is clean people's trash cans. Like he knows his route, like a paper route, and he's like, the trash passes through here on Wednesdays. I'm gonna canvass this neighborhood and see if on Wednesdays they'll leave their trash out. They'll pay me, you know, whatever, $10 per can. I'm doing 3 at every fucking house. I'm doing this many houses, and that dude started an entire business out of it. You know what I mean? But it was because he saw a niche and said, fuck it, I'm gonna make it so easy for these people that they're not gonna say no. People don't want their stinky ass trash cans. I'm gonna make it to where I say, hey, I know your trash goes out on Wednesday. Pay me, leave the trash out, and you know, and I'll come by and clean it, and you can just Zelle me the money or however, I'll invoice you, whatever that case may be. And you got people out here that are scared to take a leap, and this motherfucker's making money on washing trash cans.
True.
You know what I mean?
I mean, there's legit fears though, you know, and I understand them, I guess.
Man, you just got to overcome them. It's just, you know what? You got fears, write them down. I mean, genuine and go over them. Find somebody that can help you like overcome those fears, because like you brought up the health benefit thing. And I know personally, like for Brittany to put me on her health benefits would be 3 times more the cost than me getting my own coverage. So like if you got a wife and kids, and if your wife works and she has good benefits and the kids can go underneath her, because you as a business owner, chances are you're not going to pay yourself very much. If you're smart with your accounting and everything, you're going to pay yourself what you need to get by and be reinvesting into the business like a smart business owner. Therefore, your income is going to look great for marketplace health insurance, which, I've lived it. I survived. I'm not, nobody's, taking my shit away from me. Didn't lose anything. You know what I mean? I got treatment and everything was good.
Dollar down chases on. You know what I'm saying? Dollar down chases on.
Yeah. You know what's funny, that people think that you take that leap and you become successful the first time. Like if you talk to anybody that's in business or has money, they failed at 2 or 3 more businesses or jobs until they found that they had to go through all that little hurdle.
And here's the thing, like if I had decided I'm going to do Foxbody shit instead of going to college, right? That would not have flowed. Maybe it would have been pretty good in the beginning. Obviously, my cost of living was low. I was, at home, this and that. And like, you don't factor in all of that overhead. I was winning so much because, yeah, I still lived at home. I didn't have, bills to pay. I didn't have a family. I didn't have all these things. So, yeah, I was just banking stuff. But like, if I had to get a physical location and I wasn't living at home and this and that, and then the Foxbody market plunges, like, don't get me wrong, I would probably be smart enough to figure it out. But I'm very grateful. Like all my corporate experience that I ended up getting in the end is what I think has allowed me to be as successful as I am now in my business by, whether it's dealing with difficult people, which, my customers are my bosses, to finances, to approach, to business planning, to whatever, you know what I mean? Because like you've lived through it. Now, with that said, I think that some people naturally, like, it's not hard to make money when you really think, like, if you are a driven hustle type person, like Gorrddo, like you said, the fucking garbage can thing, like that, sometimes there's a little bit of luck, but you know what I mean? We can all go back to, well, he just stumbled across that whole property maintenance thing. You know what I mean? He looked after a house and all of a sudden it was like, hey, can you look after mine? Whatever. Good little niche. And all of a sudden he found himself working for himself organically, because that shift, although he said, oh, I'm quitting my job and I'm just going to drink coffee and meditate and whatever. Like that wouldn't have happened, the whole property maintenance thing, if he hadn't been driven or immersed himself in the situation that he needed to do something. Because if he was working his 9 to 5, that scenario never would have happened. He would have told his buddy, hey, no, I'm not, you know what I mean? No, I'm good. I got my job. I got my wife. I got my kids, whatever. But he was literally there, whatever, meditating. And then his buddy gave him that opportunity. And then it snowballed and escalated from there.
Some people, though, have the perception that certain jobs are below them. Right? So like a lot of people, I'm not going to be a fucking landscaper.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to go work in the oil fields to a landscaper.
I deal with that, personally. I can tell you, like, I've always told my wife, I know the bills. I know, what I need to do. If I ever lost my job, I don't give a shit. I'll go back to doing this and that. But you're right. I come across people that are like, I made it here. I would never take a step back down. Right. But sometimes you have to take 2 steps down to fucking boom. Now you elevate. People don't understand that concept. Like, and that mentality is what's trapping them where they're losing. At. It's a losing. Because guess what? There's people out there right now that are looking for a job and they're like, fuck that. I was getting paid this much at my last job. Hey, guess what, bud? For some reason, you're not there making that money. So, like, and they'll sit there and they'd rather be unemployed than to take a pay cut and say, hey, I'm going to work myself back up. I know it sucks, right? And to each their own. But, at the end of the day, you're going to put forth the energy. You're going to, people always find time and energy to do the things that they want to do. So
I'm going to say right now, like, if you are complaining about not being able to find a job, like, get fucked, because if I didn't have a job tomorrow, I could go down to Buc-ee's and make fucking $17 an hour. I can go to Whataburger and fucking flip burgers for $16 or a Kroger for 17 bagging fucking groceries. And
I mean, you could do that
like,
part-time to build a fucking car on the side. You could do it anything.
Like, bro, it's not hard to go out and go buy some shit off fucking Marketplace and shine it up and fucking resell it. You know what I mean? Go, like, it can be as small as shoes. You know what I mean? Like we were saying. And if you think that something is beneath you, you need a friggin' reality check. Because when I was doing my master's degree in Australia, even though my job paid for the tuition, the cost of living was fucking expensive there. Like a bottle of water costs more than a Red Bull. And I remember when, like, to this day, how much at the time that I could make $20 stretch. And I was like, you know, a lot of people be like, oh, $20, like, that's not a lot. And then, but like, when you need to eat and you're fucking starving, it's amazing how far $20 could go. Now it'd probably be
$20 lasts longer in your wallet than $1,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like,
fucking amen to that.
And I remember being that guy, like, I'll never fucking work at McDonald's. Fuck that shit. That was me.
But you know, that mentality, you know, the mentality of like, the richest person in the world, right? Or rich people, they understand that everybody plays a key component in their success. Oh, the people 100%. That are like, this shit is beneath them, this people is beneath them, those are people that want to be successful and they never truly will be. Those are people that are faking the funk, that they're looking for happiness, but they never will be, because that piece of their mind that doesn't allow them to say, hey, I'm not above anybody, I'm not beneath anybody, I don't even look at life that way. That's an entrapment. That's a mental fucking prison that those people are in. Yeah. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the bottom fucking line.
And you know, kind of going back to finding out what you don't want to do. It's like, I know I don't want to flip burgers at McDonald's, but I really love fucking making sandwiches and I love eating sandwiches. So you know what? Let me get a fucking job at Subway. And dude, I tried. I applied like 20 times to these 3 different Subways when I was there, and they would not fucking get back to me. So finally, because the problem was my resume I had degrees, I had work experience, whatever.
They're like, you're overqualified to fucking make a sandwich.
Yeah, now
fucking retarded, dude. Isn't that the stupidest fucking shit?
Now I'm a fucking broke student trying to do my master's degree in a country that's foreign to me, and I just need to make a bit of fucking money and maybe get a free sandwich out of the deal when I have a shift. So then I'm like, okay. So I applied and I didn't attach my resume. And they're like, you forgot to attach your resume. And text messaging was on fire at this point. So I responded back and I said, well, if I attach my resume, you wouldn't hire me. And they said, you have an interview tomorrow at 2 or whatever it was. And it was family owned, whatever. And like, bro, I'm certified sandwich artist, and I'd make the fucking baddest ass goddamn sandwiches you would ever have. Every sandwich should be a challenge to me. It'd be like building a car, but in a fucking bun. You know what I mean? Like, and I made it exciting and I made it worthwhile, and I got fucking sandwich too. Like I was getting paid and I got to eat. You know what I mean? So it's like things don't have to be beneath you, and I think people just need to get like when you really need it, you get humbled real quick.
Yeah. So after all that conversation, what would you tell the guy who listened and still was like, you know what, after hearing all this, after hearing the pod we did with Gary, I don't think opening my own thing is the thing for me, but I'm still miserable.
Then I'll let Gorrddo go.
No, I mean, the biggest piece of advice I would tell anybody is be true to yourself. So it's always that gut, right? You always listen to your gut feeling. Of course, we always take other people's feedback, my wife, my best friend, whoever. Great. Listen to that, right? Listen to all these people tell you the do's and don'ts and the why you shouldn't, why you should. But at the end of the day, like, remain true to yourself. If you know that, like, I want to do this, do it. If you know that, because we know, right? I know I'm not. There's people out there that are like, I know I'm not capable of doing it, right? As shitty as that sounds, I'm not capable of being disciplined to run my own show. I would fuck up my taxes. I wouldn't put money away for my future. There's people that know that. I know that I wouldn't put away money for me to retire. Great. If you know that in your heart, true to that, then if you're not happy at your job, then go find something that makes you happy. You know what I mean? At least don't start your own business, but go find a job that you're passionate about, that you wake up to every day and you're like, I want to go do this job. You know what I mean? Don't necessarily go and take the leap of opening up your own business, but don't stay miserable and complacent. Go find another source of income that's steady, that you can have, benefits and all that, but at least be happy and true to yourself. Don't just go somewhere and punch a clock and be miserable, because when you're miserable and unhappy, your kids that are young see that. Your friends see that. Your spouse sees that. There's a lot of relationships that have ended because somebody goes home every day pissed off about stuff that happened at work and they take it out on their spouse. Yeah. You know what I mean? So just think about that in the
I agree with that.
Be happy, dude. There's no fucking cheat code to life. The only thing is find what makes you happy and fucking do it. That's it.
Yeah. No, I think it's important to reflect and ask yourself what you're thankful for. You know what I mean? Like if everything's so miserable, like something's got to be good about something, or that at least the fact that you're alive and you're able. You know what I mean? Like if you've got all your senses and you've got all your limbs and everything else, there's still someone fucking worse off than you. And it's that self-evaluation, really trying to determine what you want, and like getting the drive to try and figure out how you can possibly get there. But sometimes you just need a reality check. Like some people have a chip on their shoulder, you know what I mean? And say, oh, I deserve to be doing better. Or some people get caught up on what they see on these fucking reality TV shows or all this bullshit that people are posting on social media. Like, yeah, there's people that have really nice stuff, but like, it doesn't mean that it's all real. And you know what I mean? Like it's that whole saying of be careful of what you wish for, because you know what I mean? Like, again, we all want what we don't have naturally. So I think it's, if you can find a way to get perspective on something or to be able to like immerse yourself into something else. Like if you're a guy that generally says no to things, like, you get invited to go somewhere and you're just like, no. And you start making an excuse. I think there was an episode of Seinfeld like this where somebody just started saying yes to where they would normally say no, and how like
and everything just changed,
and how everything changed. And like, I won't even lie, I'm generally sort of on that no side of things, and I got to push myself. Like I have to like just be like, okay, like woosah, take a second and be like, no, I know if I do that, I'll probably be glad that I did. And like 9 times out of 10, I am. So it's just like, you have to give yourself those checks and push yourself, because like we're in control of us and somebody's not going to do it for us. You're not just going to be handed something. You might win the fucking lotto. Chances are you won't. So just, you know what I mean? Push yourself to do outside of the box things and to try new things, to be able to put things into perspective or whatever. Book a Foxbody consultation with me and we'll call it a life consultation.
No, you know what's funny? I like what you said. Like, I think the biggest problem with today's society is that the internet is great, right? Because it allows you to network, but it also gives all these people a false narrative to where they're measuring their life against what they see.
100%.
And so the same thing happens in a marriage. When you have your wife that comes over and says, hey, so-and-so's husband is like this. Well, go fucking marry him. Like, you know who I am. You know what I bring to the table. You know and I'm confident in what I do. So right. I don't ever measure myself against anything. And I don't ever measure my wife against any other woman, because that's a fucking losing battle, bro. You chose your spouse. You choose the decisions that you make in life. You choose where you're at. That's the number one thing that I can give anybody is You are in control of your life, and people may think that they're not, but you can make choices. I know there's circumstances where people are, don't feel like they have a choice, but I'm talking to the people that, you're in control. You wake up every day, you drive to that job, you control how you're positive or negative in life. But if you're doing all of that and you're also measuring your life against anybody else's, you're already fucking losing. You already lost the battle because you're measuring your success and what you need to be doing in your life against somebody who's had a different walk of life, who's had a different upbringing, who's had a different set of mentors instilling in them their whole life. This is what you need to do. You've already failed if you're measuring yourself against your buddy, against your brother-in-law, against anybody that you come across, and you say, I need to be like him. I'm not saying don't be motivated by friends that are doing fucking great. Let them motivate you, but don't let them and what they're doing dictate what you do. You don't need to do the same thing your buddy's doing to be successful. You need to find your path and do that. That's it.
Just sounds so good, but sometimes I think it's easier said.
Hey, and it's not for everybody, dude. That's where you keep asking this question and keep beating down this bush, but it's self-proprietary, being your own boss. Dude, it's not for everybody. Some people are good, they follow instructions, they're great employees, they do that. If that's you, great. At least find yourself a hobby before you retire. Make sure you do stuff you love. Make sure you enjoy the people around you and just live life.
I think it's more like stop worrying about the idea and really worry about where you are in life and really what you want and owning the choices that you've made. Like, you can't worry about the shit that happened in the past. Like, the past is the past, it's gone. You're not going to change it. You don't have a flux capacitor and a time machine. Like, you can only go forward. That you're in control of based on the decisions that you make. Are there going to be circumstances that come and give you a bunch of roadblocks and speed bumps and hurdles? Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, nothing is going to be easy about any of it going forward. And that's just if you don't even attempt to do it your normal life. You're gonna be like, oh, my car broke down, or oh, I got this bill in the mail randomly, oh this, oh that, whatever. And you can sit there and dwell on all of that stuff all day long and make your life like, it's honestly like statistics. You can literally make that information sound however you want. I could paint you a story today that my life fucking sucks and you should feel sorry for me and woe is me and blah, blah, blah. Like, people do it all the time. But that's not the reality. Like, I can paint you a picture that I'm the happiest guy in the world and whatever, which it'd be on the other side of the spectrum. And like, yeah, I would like to shoot for that. Somewhere in between is the truth and the reality. And it's a matter of where your glass or your fucking bottle of beer is sitting and what portion of that do you want to live in and stay at? Because if you focus on all the positives and keep going in that direction and you surround yourself with positive, like-minded people, like, fuck, it'd be pretty hard to be depressed around Gorrddo.
I don't let motherfuckers be depressed.
What I mean?
I'll look at my buddies and be like, why are you acting like a bitch? Like, you want a beer? You want a hug?
Gorrddo, do you think people know what they want?
No, I didn't even know what I wanted until a few years ago. Like, people don't, and I know I got, cousins that are 50 years old still doing dumb shit and they don't even know what the fuck they want.
I wonder why that is. I wonder why that people struggle to find out what they truly want.
A lot of people never really reflected, you know what I mean? Or they're told, or like society just kind of like eats them, and you know what I mean? You're just kind of going with the flow. And
you know why people don't know what they want?
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but you know why people don't know what they want? Because the excess of information that we get. You know what I mean? Do you know when you take your kids to buy a candy and you go down that aisle and there's so many fucking options and you're like, oh my God. And I'm telling my kids, hurry up and pick something or you're getting nothing. You know what I mean? The same thing applies when a person goes out into life and social media, you see all these different things that are going on. And you don't ever take time to say, like he said, process of elimination. Instead of looking at all this shit, go try every fucking thing and figure out what you don't want to do. People don't do that. People sit there and they're like stuck in the aisle of candy, not knowing what candy they want. Instead of saying, well, shit, let me try this one. Nope, that's garbage. Let me try that one. Nope, that's garbage. There's the too much information is overwhelming. Because it allows people to get too many options or not be able to focus in on things. So, sometimes you got to stop, take things one step at a time and try shit. Don't be afraid to try it. I mean, you might try something today and say, shit, why haven't I done this my whole fucking life? You know what I mean? That's just how life is. It's crazy because we do what the people that we grew up around did.
I do find it interesting how at face value, that's such an easy question. Gorrddo, what the fuck do you want? I want a house. I want to be happy. I want a wife. I want kids. I want a nice car. Like at face value, it's such a simple fucking question. But so many people, and you're probably right, it's probably information overload these days. Too much shit. You scroll.
You know what I want? I know what I want. It's bullshit that I said I don't. Growing up without parents, growing up, being hungry, moving around a lot, the biggest blessing that I have is when I come home, dude, and my 6-year-old, he's such a cool kid. You know what I mean? He's got a popsicle, he's got a cup of ice, he's got his favorite tuna on. He's the owner of the control in this house. He's got his fucking arms like this, and he's chilling, and I walk by him, and I'm like, all the fucking trouble that I had at work, all the fucking drama, all that, I want to be able to do this for him for as long as God will allow me to do that. It's simple. To me, that's success. I didn't have a house. I didn't have my own room. My kids have their own room. My kids have more shit than they can handle. And at times I'm like, oh, they're fucking spoiled rotten. But I love being able to do that for them, because I didn't have those things. And so I want to be able to, number one, always be present for them when they need me. And I want them to know that I'm here when they need me. But just seeing those little moments, dude, it's fucking better than anything I can describe. You know what I mean? And I've tried a lot of shit in my life. You know what I mean? So I'm not coming from a person that was sheltered and I'm like, this is the greatest feeling in the world. I'm talking about somebody who's fucking done it all and partied and done everything. That to me is everything. But guess what? That's everything to me. Some other people might be like, that's fucking corny because you grew up with your dad, because you fucking and that's great. That's my success. That's what I want. And I'm sure of it, and I'm true to myself about that.
Yeah. It's interesting thought. It makes me think why people get so invested in what makes you happy, what makes me happy, or what makes this guy happy. People give too much shits about.
So I posted a video, you guys have probably seen it, of me doing donuts with my kids in the car, right?
Oh, how much shit did you get for that?
So let me fucking tell you, right? If I were to sit there and be a little fucking crybaby and fucking let these people hurt my feelings, I had so many comments about child endangerment, about fucking CPS, about this, about that. But what's funny is I tell people, I have the same response. I wish CPS would come and see how fucking good these kids live. You know what I mean? But on top of that, these are people that are clacking away at their keyboard and their kids are stuck somewhere on a tablet. They don't even fucking go bike ride with their kids. They don't even do all these things to try and be in their kids' lives. You know what I mean? And these are people trying to tell me what I'm doing wrong because, number one, they don't understand it, right? You don't understand because I'm a car guy. To you don't understand that. But, let's take it further than that. To a person that grew up without a dad, as many things as I can do to involve my kids in what I'm doing, I'm going to do it. Of course, they don't really... I wouldn't do it if I didn't have control of my car. I wouldn't do it if I thought it was unsafe. I don't just knowingly put my kids in danger. It's something that I'm doing, that I'm having fun with my kids. But the same types of people are endangering their kids in other ways. You take your kids to an amusement park and slap them on a roller coaster, that's a fucking risk. That you're entrusting the roller coaster. You're entrusting this place to the seatbelt, the restraint or whatever. If they fly, does that make you a bad fucking person? I can't believe you took your kids to that fucking amusement park and now one of your kids broke his.
There would be some asshole, bro. There would be some asshole. Oh, did we lose him?
I think so. Oh shit.
He'll come back.
Oh yeah, bro. People got to stop worrying about what's going on and like worry about what's in your own backyard before you start worrying about what's in your neighbor's.
Seriously. I mean, I sent him a message real quick. I wonder if he fucking realizes to come back in through the same link. It's like thinking. Maybe he might have lost service.
Yeah.
That's good insight, though. I mean, I don't know. I come from a different place with it, Chris. Like, for me, it's like, I guess my dad there wasn't a lot of security growing up. So like now that I have it, like I'm unwilling to take a risk and I don't want to, right? There's just no need for me to. I don't have a desire.
Why do you feel like you ask the question so much if you don't need to and you're fine?
Because I mean, I ask you guys so much, particularly because it always sounds like it's glorious. You know, with that said, like, I guess, do you think I ask because I'm interested in going out and doing something on my own?
Well, I know Gary assumes that, but funny enough, I don't think you are. I think you're happy with your plan and your approach to, I don't know, life in general and the rest of your career. Like, dude, you have it pretty good. You know what I mean? So like, why would you want to fuck with that? Like, unless, because I haven't heard the idea. Like, you haven't come forward and say, oh fuck, dude, I want to build some cars or I want to do this or whatever. So, unless you did that, then I wouldn't think otherwise.
Well, you know what else that, like, I don't know how it is where you guys are at, but out here in California, like, in order to survive, you almost have to have 5 or 6 different hustles, right? So you have people that are punching a clock in a 9 to 5 and they have their own business. You know what I mean? So we haven't even touched on the fact that you could, there's people out there that are like, hey, I would love to own a barbershop that I don't have to be at, Monday through Friday. I literally rent, I own the building. I'm in charge of how it looks and the name and all that. And I rent a chair out and everyone's, kind of their own, business. And I can pop in on Saturdays and Sundays or after work. And that business is mine. I own that business. Or you could be a guy that's like, hey, I'm into creating merchandise or, screen printing or there's so many different things. So you can still work a 9 to 5 and have that security and then also have an entire business going on at the same time.
I think that's ultimately, Gordo. I think that's, and I talked about this in podcast, that is like the way I would recommend someone going out on their own thing. Like,
well, maybe in your mind, bro, it's that you've worked so hard and that you're going to be able to retire soon that your wheels are spinning of what the fuck are you going to do next?
What the fuck am I going to do when I don't got to fucking go wake up every day and go to work? I'm going to drive myself crazy. So let me throw myself at this.
If I'm being totally honest with you guys, yeah, I mean, my goal is to retire fairly soon. I mean, fairly soon within 10 years, like under 10 years, I could probably walk away. And that puts me maximum 58 years old, absolute max. And that's like peak.
Yeah, so you got a lot of time to do something after that. Because like, what the fuck, dude? I know you don't golf. If you just sit at home and smoke cigarettes and drink Red Bull, you're gonna fucking die by 60.
Well, I don't know. See, I guess what you guys talking earlier,
and Sam will be off to school. You know what I mean? Like, Erin's not gonna want you on top of her all day long. So.
Everybody,
you know what a lot of people do? Like, it's funny because I'm in construction, so I'm just going to use this as an example. A lot of guys will be a tradesman their entire fucking life, right? Then they retire and they realize, like, I still kind of want to do something, right? And they'll turn around and be like a city inspector, right? So I get to still be around construction. I don't have to fucking beat on my body, right? It's less stress, less hours, but I'm still kind of around the same thing that I was around my whole life. I always thought when it was time for me to retire, it would be cool to be like a freelancer for like a parts company or a business that was doing stuff in the car community where I could still kind of tie my hobby together and make money. You know what I mean? To where I established all these connections and now I'm retiring from my job and saying, hey,
Like, I don't have to go to work, but you want me to travel? You want me to go do this? I have the energy, the free time to do all these things. And it would be great to incorporate something you love and you're passionate about and figure out a way to make money from it, right? But and not feel like you're at work. I think that's would be like the ultimate, be able to retire when early, right? Earlier than most people, but then go and find something that you're passionate about and make money doing it. You know,
like
I think that would be fucking awesome.
Like I'd like to go work in a gun store, something of that nature.
Well, there you go.
Part-time shit. But ultimately, I want a fuck you job. What I mean by that is like, hey, it's snowing now today. I can't come in. No, you got to. Well, fuck you. I quit.
Yeah, fuck you. I don't fucking need this shit.
Right. I mean, that's what I want, a fuck you job. But I work so much, man. Like, I think by the end of tomorrow night, because I'm going to work a 16-hour shift tomorrow, I would clock close to 96 hours this week. This is the first night that I didn't work a 16-hour day this whole week.
Holy shit.
It's crazy.
96 by the end of tomorrow. But again, I want to retire early. No one in my family, in my life, I got to see retire and actually enjoy it. No one.
Well, nobody in my life. It's funny that you say that because I always measure with people that are older than me. My uncles all worked until they died.
Right.
Everybody I know fucking wasn't able to pay their house off by the time it was ready. It was time for them to retire. So they continued working because they still had a mortgage and bills. So I always tell my wife, like, I don't give a shit what I'm doing, but by the time I'm 55, I want to have one of the houses paid off to where I could say, fuck you guys. All I got to do is worry about money for food and just basic necessities, right? I can put myself on a fixed income if I needed to, and I had that freedom. Of course, I want money in the bank. Of course, I want a couple nice cars, but true freedom is like when you watch your mother-in-law who's, 70 years old still working because her mortgage isn't paid off. I don't want to fucking be that person.
Me neither.
You know what I mean? I want my house to be paid off, and I want to have a fucking shit box that the water pump went out on it. Cool, let's replace the water pump, and I can drive this thing until it fucking dies. I don't want a fucking fancy car payment, and if I did have a nice car, I'd want it to be paid off by the time I was fucking retiring. Because of the people around me that I see that's their biggest struggle. Like, they wish they could have retired. They wish their mortgage would have been paid off, but they just, for whatever reason in life, that wasn't the case. So I use that to drive myself and say, no matter what, I want a mortgage paid off by the time I'm 55. And I could say, hey, you know what? I'm fucking retiring. If it's sooner than that, great.
Right. How old are you, Gordo?
I'm 35.
Oh, you got some time, man.
I got some time, yeah. But like you said, who knows if I have, you never know. People get sick. I keep hearing from all my older friends, like, you hit a point in your life where you just go through this, like, kind of a dead zone where you don't have the energy you had, and it's hard to kind of navigate your life around that. And then he's like, it's a little small hump, but I'm like, I don't want to go right now. My wife gets pissed off because I'm like pulling weeds and I'm fucking, my car's on jack stands and I'm wrenching, and I'm like, there's gonna come a time where I can't do this anymore, so I need to do it now that I'm able to do it.
Right. So I guess to kind of touch on Chris's question that he asked for me when you cut out there, like, I kind of went through this, Gary. I know you listened to the pod, but I'll try to explain it a little bit better. So my family does not come from money, right? It's always been growing up, smaller houses, lots of people in this room, lots of people in that room. I mean, generally speaking, my family as a whole. It was just like generation after generation after generation. It's just the same thing, right? Like, no one has never seen them retire. Most people in my family never went to college. Most people never had a really like a career. So for me, I just decided that I don't want that for my daughter. I'm going to be the person to hit the reset button, right? So what I mean by reset, I think Gorrddo kind of comes from the same situation, right? Different, but the same, like same mentality. Like, somebody has to be willing to sacrifice some of their own happiness to an extent to maybe hit the reset button for future generation, right? So, like, my daughter won't live like that. Gordo's kids won't live the way he grew up. Now, if he didn't go through things that he went through in life, and I didn't go through things I went through in life, and we both decided like, okay, that's not going to be me, then our kids would just be the next generation to follow suit. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just kind of how I look at it. Like when I leave this earth, like the generations behind me, I hope lives to a different standard than I was raised.
For sure. And I always tell my wife, like, it doesn't matter who in my family dies, I'm never going to inherit anything. I'm never going to have the luxury of saying I inherited that, because I just don't come from that set of, I have no mom, no dad. Most of the people in my family are, broke or whatever. And I'm not going to ever inherit something. And so if I could die and leave my kids with something, I know that sounds cliche, but that's, to me, would be like, let's say I died, right? And my kids, they were like, we don't need the house. Great, sell it and have that be to where you're able to go and do, like, let's say I die and you could sell one of my houses and start your own business with it. Great. You had that one leg up, ahead of anybody else, not to say that they're banking on me dying or that the money is it, but, if I could give them something, aside from my time, because that's the most important thing. Give your kids your time, give your family, your loved ones your time. But if you could leave them with something, then you would, like you said, you'd stop the curse or the cycle, and then every generation in hopes would be a little bit better than you were.
Right. So I guess that's the reason why I kind of am, I'm not going to say a firm believer. Like there's, think of the businesses out there that people started on their own. Amazon, right? Like fucking, it started in a garage. Like the sky is the ultimate limit of what you can do with a business, by starting your own. But for me, it's kind of like, I don't have that drive to start my own business. I don't even know what the fuck I would do if I started my own business. So the alternative to that is find the safest, most high paying, most secure job I can and guarantee myself, as long as I'm alive, or to the best of my ability, because there's no guarantees, right? Like you said, you can be fired tomorrow, but it's very hard. Give myself that opportunity to make sure I can retire. Make sure if I left this earth tomorrow, my kid's taken care of. If I got into an accident tomorrow, dude, my kid's getting $2 million and I pay $1.98 a week for it.
Right? Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because my wife's always like, you need life insurance. You need to invest your money in this. And I'm, again, I come from poverty. I'm very poor. To me, the concept of life insurance and all that is not something I would have ever thought about had it not been for the partner that I chose. But now I look at it long term, like, yeah, you're paying into something for that security for your kids, for let's say something happens to you. Great. Your wife's not figuring out how she's going to come up with money. Your kids aren't standing on the side of the road trying to, collect money to just bury you. And these are things that a lot of human beings, if you ask, 1,000 people, you would be like surprised that people don't think about these fucking things. That's not something that because they're so into what they have going on. We're such a selfish race that, yeah, I love my buddies, I love my family, but at the end of the day, like, I'm more concerned about what's going on in my life to stop and really fucking pay attention to. That's why social media is so great, because you look at a 30-second clip and you get to see all this shit and boom, go on about your business. I don't give a shit about what's going on. I saw it, it made me laugh, and I'm out of here. And so if you sat there and asked a bunch of people, like you were asking earlier, do you think people know what they want? Fuck no. Do you think people are worried about politics? Fuck no. Do you think people care about what's going on across the country, like with the poverty? And do you think people take the stuff that they have for granted when there's people that are, there's women and children being raped every day. There's kids being tortured. There's people that don't even know what they're going to eat. There's kids that don't grow up with the things that our kids grow up with. They don't even have the luxury of being able to walk into a store like Walmart and see all the shit that we see. You know what I mean? Nobody cares or even thinks about those kinds of things. They're so close-minded. That's why they're trapped where they're trapped.
Wow.
That's why I say you got to go experience other places. Go visit the third world and see what it's really like.
But see, Chris has it all figured out. Chris said if I went back corporate, I would fucking look for a job that's like, oh, you want me to travel? I'll go fucking travel on your dime. I'll go fucking meet new people on your dime. Fuck it, let's do it. You know, I'm right there with Chris. If I had the opportunity and somebody told me, hey, Gordo, look, you aren't gonna make, you're gonna make enough money to survive, but we're gonna send you to all these fucking places. What would be going on in the back of my mind is like, great, new scenery, new weather, new food to try, and I get to network. Who knows what could come of that? You know, there's so many people that like the biggest problem that I have with society now is, you know, I work with a lot of senior citizens, and they always tell me, like, back in my day, everybody knew everybody greeted each other at the stores. Nowadays, everyone's so locked into their phone or worried about what they have going on that you don't even have a basic conversation when you're standing in line at the bank, and you don't know that you could meet somebody that can change your life. But because you're so, you know, closed-minded or walking with your head down or antisocial, the best asset you could give your children, in my opinion, is teach them how to be social, like really social, not on the internet, not on a keyboard. Teach them how to go out there and be decent human beings, genuine, spark conversations, because you could meet somebody today that's going to completely change the entire narrative of your life. But because people don't do the hi and bye and the how are you doing, or take the time to, you know, conversate with somebody, you don't know what you're missing in life, you know, by just throwing that little basic, you know, and it might not be nothing. I'm not saying everybody you come across is going to change your fucking life. I'm saying that you have the possibility of interacting with somebody that has what you need to succeed in life. Because people think that, oh, everything I have, everything that I need to succeed in life is within me. Bullshit. If you think that you're going to walk this earth and be successful and never need nothing from anybody, you're a bigger fool than fucking you think you are.
Well, you only miss 100% of the swings you don't take.
Amen.
So
that's great. Dude, I think that's a fucking great spot to end it, Cliff.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
It's a good lecture.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm like 4 beers in, so if we keep talking, we might derail this fucking whole conversation. So, you know, I think that we had an excellent little conversation here. It was great, you know.
Yeah, awesome, I like it, man.
No, thank you for coming on, man. It was real nice.
Anytime you guys want to have a conversation, you know, or you guys want to invite me somewhere, I'll fly out to come hang out with you guys.
We're coming to you, buddy.
Oh, I know. I was just on
Ken,
and he's gonna hate me for not knowing his name, but Built versus Bot. He said you gave him a call and was like, "Hey, let's go to California."
You talked to Ken last night, correct?
Ken, yeah. So, you know, I was telling him like, "Hey, that's fucking awesome," you know, like, come and hang out. I'm gonna end this like this. I'm kind of pissed off at Chris that he came out to First Class's first show, but he didn't come out to mine, you know. So I'm gonna just. I know my car isn't on wires, you know, like yours is. So, you know. I know that, you know, I'm just fucking with you, but
we're coming.
I have a question. What made you like? Because here's the thing, me as a person, I'm like, I want to go here to see so and so or do so and so. What made you like even agree to go to that show?
So,
or was it just like, fuck it, you know, let's go?
To be honest, man, they reached out and I was kind of curious about the Cali scene, and I was like, oh, it's in San Diego. And I looked it up and I talked to my wife and I'm like, and I'm a big animal person and I always wanted to go to the San Diego Zoo. So it just worked out. I'm like, if the flights are cheap enough, let's just make a quick little weekend out of it. And bro, it was, you know what I mean? The airport was right there, quick little Uber, had a nice Airbnb, went to the zoo. And we bounced back. So
everything just kind of fell into place. That's great. I'm glad. So what he really meant to say was he ran it by his wife to see if, you know, if the wife's on board, then it's happening, right?
That's it.
I got to get my wife on board to go out there.
No, man, I want to come out there. I've talked to a bunch of people about it. It looks like it's going to happen.
Well, well, as soon as we know a date, we'll definitely keep you guys informed. I got people out here on the West Coast. It's like, dude, you're going to get War Admiral and Infamous Fox to come out to California. We need to hurry up and finish our cars. I'm like, I guess. Or fucking trailer them to the show. I don't give a shit.
We're coming. We're coming with more than just the two of us.
Yeah.
No, I hear it. Yeah, I mean, come hang out, dude. What's his name? He was telling me yesterday. He's like, oh man, California, you know, has the biggest. And I'm like, nah, that's not necessarily it. Here's what it boils down to, right? the reason that we're able to do what we do is because I have all this fucking energy. If I wasn't channeling this energy into something, I'd be driving myself crazy. So, like, you know, my buddy Sylvester from First Class, he's like, we don't have nothing like what you guys do in Northern California and San Diego. And I'm like, it's a lot of fucking work, dude. Me and my boy Jerry, we wake up at 3 a.m. We fucking bullshit. We look for venues. We're like, what can we do? Because, again, I'm not doing this. Yes, I'm not going to say I'm not doing it for the community. But at the end, I'm doing it for myself. I want to be able to pull my Fox body out and go hang out with a bunch of Foxes. I want to go cruise. I want to drive my car. I want to go see other people's builds. So it's always organic and we're able to do that. But I told him, like, if there's not one set person that's driving this, and we've been doing this for 7 years now, to where we're putting meets, we're going pop-ups, we're doing cruises, we're shutting bridges down, we're hiring photographers, we're doing merchandise, we're doing all this stuff, but this shit didn't happen overnight. And we're having fun at the very end of it. It's not like we're doing something we don't want to do. It's not like we're doing something because we want views or because we are car guys that wrench on their fucking cars that want an excuse to drive our fucking cars. And so that's what I told him. It just takes 1 or 2 people to really fucking say, hey, we're going to put this together, and then have the power of networking and doing all this other shit that comes along with it. But if I wasn't having fun doing what we're doing, I wouldn't fucking be doing it. I don't do anything I don't want to do. So I'm doing this because I'm a Fox guy. I've loved Fox bodies since I was 10. I own multiple Fox bodies. I wrench on my fucking car every day. So, that's what I tell people. If you don't have that, then, you're not going to like it. You're not going to enjoy it. I put as much energy into the 5.0 events that I do because I'm having fun doing it and because it's what I want to do. You know what I mean? So
don't call my attention right away, dude. It was set up right. You know that. I told you. You need to get me the date, Gordo, as soon as you know it.
For sure. No, I'm ironing it out. I don't know what I want to do this year, but definitely because I got you guys wanting to come out, I'm going to make sure it's near an airport. I'm listening to what Chris is saying. Maybe find a fucking zoo or something, Find something for the kids to do,
Little fucking donkey.
I might fucking put a bounce house and, a shooting range or something to where you can go to your wife and be like, hey, babe, there's shit for you to do there too. Come on.
Right? Yeah, I want because we got to ship cars and all that shit, so we got to get all that stuff squared away.
Yeah. I mean, out here, what we do, like, I'll get like 5 or 6 of my buddies. We'll all rent a fat ass Airbnb with an RV access and a pool, and we'll all go get groceries. And we're like, hey, we're here. And, we used to go to Fabulous Fords every year. And so we would just rent an Airbnb. We'd get all of our cars, make sure they were parked in a garage or in the back of a house so they were secure. We'd go and buy a bunch of food and beer, and we'd fucking party. These are people we're hanging out with, and it makes it a fucking awesome environment. So
yeah, that's we've been doing that for what now, Chris? 5 years?
Yeah, 5, 6 years.
5, 6 years. That's what we do. We get Airbnb.
Yeah.
Good time, man.
Yeah, it's a good fucking time.
But, all right, man. We're gonna end this. Don't hang up though. Just stay real quick, like Chris ends. Later, guys.
Later. Till next time.